I hadn't thought about doing this book so soon because it was one of my authors, and we've waited a year for this book, and I've done the whole series. So please go and check out all of my videos. Start with the first one and work your way through. I did them all sequentially in order, and I've been waiting a little while for this book, and I got it, and I decided what the I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smancy stuff going on here. And we have some interesting visitors in our book. So what does this one, or if you want to put them like this, the Hanged Man, the Tower, and the Devil. What do these three cards, which are part of this tarot card, the ones in the book, red, yellow, green, I think, don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check it. I didn't write it down. But, these are from the 80s, I guess. So I can put this back in here now. I took them out. And, shoot. I'm gonna have a minute trying to put these back in. Alright, I'll have to do that later. Okay, so who will remember? And Hero. All right, so you've got your core. You got Sebastian St. Cyr. He's our Viscount. He's our lead character. He's our investigator. His wife Hero. Her Hero is something of it. She writes articles to the newspaper. She interviews poor people in difficult situations, and I keep waiting for her to open up a school or open up a charity or start doing something to help these people besides just interviewing them. And have her interviews made anybody else want to do something for her or them. You don't hear anything about that. You hear all these people's stories, but you don't hear anything else as did something good come as a result. You don't hear anything of that. And she's interviewing all these guys that because they were in the Navy and because they were in this particular, the lower common, they weren't an officer, they weren't anybody else of importance. When they were let go, they weren't given a pension of any time, and these guys are homeless, they're on the streets. So she's interviewing all these guys from the military. Then we have Sebastian. And usually, all right, let me finish then we have his father, the Earl of Hendon. We see very, very little of him. He's usually a constant, a chapter a book, a visit a book, but very scarcely seen in this. Jarvis is Hero's dad. He hates Sebastian. Sebastian doesn't like Jarvis either. They threaten each other constantly, but nothing ever happens. And Sebastian's valet, or man about everything, I forget his name, and I didn't write it down. But his mom, we see he gets a brief little appearance, and his mother gets a brief little appearance. She's usually more of those. She works in a tavern. She owns a tavern, and she usually plays a more prominent part too. But we haven't seen her either. We see her, but we see a very small part of it. Smoke! She's in there screaming. So then we have Sir Henry Lovejoy. He's a magistrate. Then we have our people that are here for this particular book. So usually, C.S. Harris has Sebastian interview person B. A tells this. So then he goes to person B, and B tells this. And then he goes to person C, and C tells this. And the stuff, the B and C lead him back to A. And then we do this continually through the whole book. He interviews these people over and over and over again. And it was not that it wasn't that prominent in this book. It didn't show up. I didn't notice it as much as previous books. Where is you? Wait a second. Come here. 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 Come say hi. Hello. I'm here. There you go. So she's gonna leave. So we didn't see that much here. It wasn't that prominent. It wasn't, I didn't notice it too much. So he finds, oh shoot. And I just put them back too. Um, so most of the story is focused on this guy. Or should I say this guy? Um, this guy. He was a gentleman, Lord Preston Farnsworth, and he was hanged like this, and the card was left with him. And Sebastian notices it for what it is, the tarot card. And he's questioning everybody. And supposedly this guy had he had married this young lady, and this young lady ran off with someone else. And in his nastiness, this guy decided not to divorce her, but sued her for infidelity. And they had to pay, her and her lover had to pay like 30 grand or something like that, 30,000 pounds. So they're living very poorly, and he's living very richly. And supposedly he was in favor of ending the slave trade, and he had all these courses he did. But slowly, as the book evolves, it's told that he had quite a few unsavory things going on. He used women. He had a separate lodgings where he took them and beat them and tortured them during sex. A little BDSM, I guess, but more dangerous than acceptable. Then he would kill the women and throw their bodies in the Thames. And because this was a common occurrence back then, they're quoted in the book as saying there's over 150 people found in the Thames each year during this time period, that it's not really, thought of as much as, oh, they were suicides. They don't know that they've actually been drowned in one place and then thrown in the Thames to make it look like they committed suicide or something. So it's slowly revealed that he is unsavory, and that he was doing all these things that were illegal, and but no, and he had some help. It's revealed much later on. It takes a really long time. C.S. Harris doles this information out microscopically during the whole book. It just comes out in itsy bitsy little pieces. But so he's got the word about this guy hanged in the church. He goes to the church, this abandoned in the slum neighborhoods, and he finds the guy hanging the way the tarot card is, and he recognizes it immediately. And he goes to see this fortune teller. She's one of those people that he gets a snippet of information from the book. He's also, I forgot to mention, but it's not really a prominent part of this story, so it's really not bringing up. But Sebastian is not his father's biological son, and his father knew it for a really long time, and they were estranged over it for years. But society doesn't know it. Certain people do know it, though. But this madam that he visits, she knows it. And she knows stuff about his biological dad. And she drops like a breadcrumb or two each and every book. So we get a couple of those. And he visits her quite often in the book. And then there's this priest who supposedly has information too. And he's another one of those that doles it out in pieces throughout the book. And now that I think about it, yeah, well, I didn't notice the visits before. Some other books I really noticed the visits. We got them in rotation, but this one we didn't. And then we've got an old friend of Sebastian's, the guy who ran off with the wife of Lord Preston, the one that got sued and had to pay the £30. He's also one of the prominent suspects for the guy's murder. And he has a couple other suspects that he's looking at. And of course, Bow Street, the king, he wants these murders quieted down. Just find somebody, blame it on them, hang them, let it be done, let the people think we got the right person. I don't like this mentality. It's sort of kind of happening today, Sign Dakota, but we won't get to that. But there's all these people that die and no one knows who they are and no one who's they aim, and I guess that's the point of the story. Who will remember, especially with heroes interviews throughout the book. I keep waiting for her to do something to help these people in some way. I mean, giving them a couple of pennies, well, might get a meal or something, but that won't solve any problems for the long run. So, then we have Paul Gibson. He is the coroner in this book. He does the autopsies. He has a girlfriend or significant other in Alexi. We don't see her in this book. She's mentioned once, I think, but we don't see her in this book. We don't, like the Earl of Hendon, Sebastian's father, we barely even see him. The sister isn't mentioned at all. The other sister, the second sister, the one that's was the spy, she's not mentioned at all. They don't even, when C.S. Harris refers to her, she doesn't even list her name in this book anymore. So maybe she's trying to get rid of that part of the story. Who knows? But Sebastian does have another sister, who is Amanda. And Amanda is forever ripping on him. She's always a societal person. She's always worried about what the ton is going to say about his activities and how it's going to reflect on her and her kids and blah, blah, blah. And this time, she's not. She's more, seems to be more involved in it, would like him to find the murderer. And her attitude is different. And that's a clue. Because later on, Miss High and Mighty is a little bit involved. It turns out later that she was involved romantically with Preston, and she was hoping to be his bride, and she was trying to talk Preston into finally going through with that divorce. And it seems there was somebody else in Preston's life who will be revealed at the very, very end. So I'm really not going to tell you who this person was. But, because you need to be surprised about some stuff. I do give spoilers for most of the book, but I won't tell you the actual whodunit. But one of the people involved decided that this was not a good thing. That this would mess up their lives if Preston married Amanda, Sebastian's sister. So there's a whole set of clues there. And the whodunit, it isn't shown until like the last couple chapters of the book. It's in your face. So you have murders of 3 persons. And so you have the murder of Lord Preston, and then you have the murder of the woman that was found in the Thames. And everybody thinks she was just found in the Thames until the tarot card is found on her. And then Sebastian knows that she was part of the whatever was going on with Preston. So there were the 3 tarot cards that are found by the 3 bodies. And he spends a whole lot of time on these cards. I mean, talking about the tower gets talked about often. The Devil Guard gets talked about often, and the Hanged Man card gets talked about almost the entire book. This card's talked about. So, there's a whole lot going on with that. So Sebastian has quite a few moments with Hero. Once again, someone attacks Hero. Hero takes care of it. She's her father's daughter. Her father is Jarvis. And I love my, as I recently discovered, my Victoria Thompson has passed away, and that I was very, very saddened to learn of that recently, because I'm looking for the new releases now, and I'm like, there should be one coming up. And I go to research it, and I discover she died last year, and it just broke my little heart. Um, and I got into the Fiona Buckley series, and I was heavily reading into that, and I was looking to see when the next book would come out, and I've discovered that she too has passed away. So that's two of my authors that have died, and it's just breaking my little heart. But what I was saying was C.S. Harris, like Victoria Thompson, gives you author's notes in the back, and I love the author's notes. Known as the summer without a year without summer, 1816 was a time of bizarre weather anomalies. Yet one of the characters is saying that a volcano erupted and the ash formed a cloud, and the cloud is traveling. And nowadays they track all that stuff on radar and they got all this equipment, but people didn't know anything about this, and this guy's put it in this news app. So he's one of the characters that Sebastian visits often. But at some point in the book, he's just completely forgotten about it. And I'm sitting there going, we went to person A and we got this information. We went to person B, got the information. We went to this guy and got information. And then we go back to A, and then we go back to B, and we go to C. But then we went to D, and C somewhere along the line just got completely forgotten. And he was the weather guy. He gets dropped at a certain point in the book. You never hear from him again. The floods, crops, failures, riots, strikes, mutinies, and widespread apocalyptic fears described here were real, as were the concerns of the rising prices and increasing starvation might provoke a new wave of revolutions across Europe. One of the things that makes this period so fascinating is that at the time people knew little about the planet and could not begin to understand what was happening. That the sun was dying and that the end of the world was upon them seemed a real possibility, engendered a pervasive sense of terror. The theory Lancelot Plimsoll comes up with here to explain the strange weather is fundamentally correct, although to my knowledge no one at the time advanced it. By 1816, London was aware of the eruption of the Temboya in what was called the Dutch East Indies. At the time, it was temporarily under British rule as a result of the recent war, but would soon be given back as part of the Liverpool's agreement. Yet, no one seems to have the concern that the distant massive wave volcanic ash was going to drift over and cause all these weather things going on. And she gives there's a couple of pages of information here, and she talks about the guy, and he was a really important character. And then he talks about um the Nathaniel Conant, who was a member of the Proclamation Society that succeeded it. The society believed that crime could be traced back to the evil influence of loose women. Here, let me go back here. The Society for the Suppression of Vice really did exist, and it was, if anything, even more obnoxious than portrayed here. Like Sir Nathaniel Conant, who was indeed a member of the Proclamation Society that preceded it, the society believed that the crime could all be traced back to the evil influence of loose women, drinking, swearing, and failure to observe the Sabbath. Sir Nathaniel earned his knighthood and the plum position of chief magistrate at Bow Street by cooperating with the regiment's nasty investigation into his wife, during which a variety of individuals were bribed into testifying that Princess Caroline had been given to one of the orphans she had given birth to one of the orphans she adopted. Both Sir Nathaniel and Robert Peel, who was at the time this book was off driving up the death toll in Ireland and beefing up his resume by serving as chief secretary there, had long agitated for the creation of a centralized police force. The Metropolitan Police Force they envisioned finally came into being in 1829. As Lovejoy feared, it was focusing on policing the manners of the lower classes. Much of that which was characterized on the streets in the Regency England was outlawed. Helping usher in the devour repressive days of Victorian era, ironically, meant that initially lacked a detective force to solve actual crimes, an omission that wasn't remedied for a surprising number of years. And as Lovejoy also feared, magistrates' age-old investigative responsibilities were completely taken away, thus turning the office into something strictly judicial. The journalist Barnabas Price is fictional, but he was loosely inspired by Richard Carlile, a radical journalist targeted by the Society for the Suppression of Vice. And I'll leave the rest of this to you, but it is a good story. It is a really good story. And to find out who did the killing, you'll have to read the book and who the three victims were besides Lord Preston, and who in his intimate circle had a hand in his murder. They may not have actually done it, but they were in the initial circle that knew about it. So you have to read the book. It's a really good book. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I hope you have a good day. Bye.